There are thousands of books out there: business, cooking, psychology, dating, science, dancing, history. What if you can only choose 5? Here are the list of the 5 most important books that will teach you negotiation, finance, business, and communication. Book number 1, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. I read this book when I was 18 years old, and it is the Bible to startup building. The most important concept to pick up is the importance of minimum viable products. You build the smallest thing you can and then use that as a test to see and validate whether people would actually use your product or this feature that you're creating inside your product. A good example of a minimum viable product is the first thing I built when I was in college was a 3D printed skateboard brake that was attached to the back of my longboard. And before I even started making a lot of these, every time I saw anybody ride by with a longboard, I would run after them and we started a conversation about it. And I was like, would you buy a brake for your longboard if one existed? And they were like, yeah, of course, but like there's no good one. And I was like, great, I'm making them. Would you like to buy one? And then sometimes they'd say, yeah. And I was like, great, Venmo me and I'll put you on the list. And that's how I validated that people would actually buy my product before I'd even built anything. Book number 2 is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. The start of this book has always been my favorite. And what Malcolm Gladwell does really, really well in all of his books is he takes existing data sets and extrapolates important information out of them. So he finds that when you look at the #1 hockey players in Canada and the top hockey teams, it's always people who are born, for the most part, in the first 3 months of the year, because that's the cutoff for the age brackets for hockey. And so when you're young, those couple of months make a big impact on how big you are. The same thing is true in a lot of other instances. For example, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates are the exact same age. They're both very smart, they're both very creative, they both had visionary minds, but they were born at the exact right time in the world to herald in this new innovation of the personal computer. The second concept that I picked up from this book is the importance of the 10,000 hours rule. If you want to master a skill, you have to spend 10,000 hours practicing it. Some people put 10,000 hours in programming and coding, in designing, in dancing, but really pick the thing that you want to master and invest your time in it. Book number 3, The Weekend Millionaire's Secrets to Investing in Real Estate by Mike Summey. This is a book I've never heard anybody else recommend. It has some of the most practical advice I've ever seen on how to conduct business and negotiate. But here's the one most important thing that I picked up from this book, which is called understanding the other side's priorities and preferences. And so when you make a deal, you always have to make sure that the deal is good for both sides. And so the best negotiators are not the people who take more than the other side. They're the people who can structure a deal that is best for meeting the preferences of both sides. And so the #1 skill you have as a negotiator is not how smart you are, how quick you think, how you speak. It's your ability to listen and ask the right questions. Book number 4, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Live like a millionaire without needing to be one. The most important thing I picked up from this book, which is not obvious, is the comfort challenges. So Tim Ferriss sets a bunch of challenges for people. You know, go to a Starbucks and lie down on the ground for 15 seconds and see if anybody will check on you. Negotiate for a discount on your coffee. Go to the mall and ask out everybody who you see. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I knew that in college, I did not want to be limited by inhibitions. So I did all these things before I went to college, and I got really good at being comfortable in literally any social situation. And number 5, How to Win Friends by Dale Carnegie. I think I first found this book when I was 13 years old. I had just moved here from Israel. I still didn't speak good English, and I found it difficult to make friends with other people in my school. And so what I did is I found this book, and I tried to read this book as a physical book. I would sit there with a highlighter and a pen, and I would take notes on how to make friends. And I studied how to smile, how to do all the different things, because I really, really cared. And I remember I was taking the bus to school, and I applied every single rule from this book to my interactions with the bus driver. And it can show you how one book can really, really change the trajectory of your life. Because if I didn't find this book at this point in my life, I don't know that I would have developed the ability to interact with people in the way that I do. And when you develop those types of abilities, especially younger, they get woven into your soul. And so books, especially if you meet them at the right point in your life, can really change your life. When I started Speechify, I did it because I started reading about the impact of narrow applications of deep learning to text-to-speech. I thought that for the first time ever, I could build a product that was 10x better than anything else that existed in the category. Well, today I believe the same thing about audiobooks. I think that audiobooks have not changed in a very long time. And one thing we're very excited about in Speechify is the opportunity that we have to completely change how people read. So we're working on building the #1 bookstore on the internet. And if you want to check it out, click the iOS app below and go through the catalogs of audiobooks inside of Speechify. They changed my life. They might change yours too. This video is one in a series called Cliff's Notes, where I break down my favorite books. And if you want to listen to more, click the link below. Happy listening.